never in doubt. The question was, what would the final margin of victory be? As it turned out, it is 295 runs, and in the process, India has just handed Australia its first ever defeat in 5 outings at the Optus Stadium. It's just one more of the less palatable firsts that the Indian team keeps inflicting on Australia. The only real point of interest today was to see which, if any, of the Australian batsmen would show the skill and the application needed to bat on a wicket like this, needed to build an innings. And this matters because the knives have been out for Team Australia starting from day 2. At the end of day 2, for instance, the national coach faced questions about Daniel Vettori, the bowling coach, on a day when the Australian bowlers looked collectively undercooked, going off to Saudi Arabia to attend the IPL auctions. Questions were also asked about whether Pat Cummins, the captain, was really fit and ready mentally, about the team's weak body language on the field. That chorus got louder after day 3, with fingers being pointed at the wisdom of shoehorning Mike Sweeney into a slot that had hitherto been occupied by David Warner. Questions were asked about the form of Usman Khawaja, the other opener, about Marnus Labuschagne, the number 3 batsman. None of them really made a case for themselves in this test, and that is way too many top order berths for Australia to find replacements in a hurry. And it's not like talented players are queuing up down under to stake their claims either, which is why it was important for the Australian batsmen, or at least the 7 Australian batsmen who were left since Australia lost 3 wickets yesterday. It was important for those batsmen to use today's play to dig deep, to find some sort of form, and equally to regain a measure of confidence. We'll take away some positives from this match as one of the most nauseating cliches you hear captains and coaches spouting after a defeat. Well, if you're a glass half full sort of guy, there were a few positives. Usman Khawaja wasn't one of them though. The opener was facing some well-merited flack actually for not taking first strike last evening and putting the inexperienced McSweeney right in Bumrah's crosshairs. This morning, for the brief while that he was there, he looked good, and then he hooked at a Mohammad Siraj delivery that was too close to his body for that shot. If you're looking for application, if you're looking for the kind of, digging deep kind of innings that is required from an opener, this wasn't it. Then came Steven Smith. The thing is, in the lead up to this test match, Steven Smith's body parts, his technique, and pretty much everything else has been under scrutiny. It's like half the Australian media are obsessing about whether Smith has found his eyes, found his feet, found his hands. As it turned out, he came out to bat with all his body parts accounted for. He changed his technique. He cut out his exaggerated crabwise movement across the stumps. He opted to stay still, anchored his back leg to the middle stump line with the bat covering the off stump. He defended well. He looked decent, but then rather inexplicably he got becalmed at a time when his partner, Travis Head, had got his eye in and was beginning to play the sort of shots that he is known for. Smith could consider himself just a trifle unlucky because Siraj bowled a beauty that would have taken him out 9 times out of 10. The ball was in the channel, just short of good length. It was close enough to the off stump to draw the batsman forward, and it straightened just enough for the inevitable nick-off. The batsman who actually showed a measure of form, skill and confidence were Travis Head, and post-lunch Mitchell Marsh joining him. Both defended when the ball demanded it, and both at times looked somewhat ugly in defense. But the first hint of any kind of favorable length or width or height, both played their shots with conviction and good skill. Their partnership, which was worth about 82 of 87, was one of the best in the game by either side actually. Alex Carey also showed decent form, but with Mitchell Stark, Nathan Lyon and Josh Hazelwood for company, there was just so much he could do. So yeah, for Australia, the glass is half full. The top order is a huge worry. The middle order, not so much, but the caveat there is that if the top order keeps collapsing, there is no point expecting the middle order to keep pulling the team out of the fire. By definition, middle order batsmen come in against an older, softer ball. Not with a score of 4 for 17, which was what it was when Khwaja got himself out and Head walked in, or even 5 for 79 when Stephen Smith got out and Marsh had to join Head. It's ironic that Australia has a dearth of options to paper over cracks that are clearly evident in the batting lineup, while on the other side, India has a problem of plenty. Ironic because Australia was supposed to be the well-prepared side, having just played a home series against Pakistan, and India was coming in off a 3-0 defeat at the hands of New Zealand. The problems for India are, and it's interesting to look at them as problems. Rohit Sharma is back, and from yesterday he's been taking throwdowns with the pink ball, preparing for the upcoming test. Shubman Gill is reportedly on the mend. He had a hairline fracture of the thumb before the first test, when an injury that he picked up while he was fielding. The Indian camp thus far hasn't committed to his fitness, but there are a few days between the end of this test and the beginning of next, so that's a wait and watch scene. Mohammad Shami is reportedly due to land in Australia anytime now, and almost certainly before the Adelaide test. It's interesting that for Australia, the question is who do they pick? And the question for India is who do they drop? Rohit will take the top slot for sure. Assuming Gill is fit, that is the number 3 slot taken, all of which means that KL Rahul, who had a distinguished outing in this first test as an opener, will get shunted to number 6, which by the way is the story of his cricketing life. But what this also means, assuming that Rohit and Gill are both back, is that Devdutt Padikkal and Dhruv Jurel will end up in the discard. Washington Sundar got 2 wickets today, but honestly, he didn't do anything special with the ball to claim the number 7 slot. Batting alone doesn't cut it in that position. Particularly in the 4th innings, you need your sole spinner to be able to attack. What Sundar showed today was bowling of the ODI variety. He was flat and fast, not giving the ball enough airtime or ripping it enough to get it to grip and turn. He had a brilliant series against New Zealand, but conditions are different in Australia, and you would expect some change in that position. Ashwin would seem to be the logical like-for-like swap, but I actually like Jadeja for that position, and I'm saying this with all due respect to Ashwin. Jadeja can play both the roles, both that of a containing spinner and an attacking spinner, the first in the first innings and the second in the second innings. He is handy with the bat, and his fielding is a huge bonus. You have Nitish Kumar Reddy looking extremely good with the bat in both innings. In fact, I would argue that he's made a case to be promoted to number 7. And with the ball, he is just around the mid-120s, which seems slow, but he seems to have the ability to get the ball to skid on. The ball keeps hitting the bat far quicker than you would expect it to. He also bowls very good lines and showed today that he can bowl effective overs when the mainline pacers need a break. Bumrah and Siraj are obvious to fill 2 of the 3 bowling slots. But what is India going to do if and when Shami gets here and is fully fit? Rana bowled well in both innings. He's the one who, of the 3 seamers, can use bounce consistently to bother batsmen. He is fit enough to bowl long spells if needed. He's aggressive. He's always at the batsman. If he loses out to Shami, it seems you can see the logic of picking Shami, particularly with a pink ball, but it also seems a bit hard on Rana, who hasn't done enough or who hasn't done anything to deserve being dropped. All told, it's an interesting problem for India to have as the teams head to Adelaide for the second test beginning on December 6. It's a day-night game with a pink ball, which makes it a whole new ball game. We'll be back with daily recaps when the test begins. Until then, celebrate what to my mind is one of India's best test wins, largely because of the situation they had to come back from and the way they did it. First with the ball, then with the bat. And then again, of course, with the ball. So, until December 6, take care, stay safe, and see you soon.